Welcome one, welcome all to episode 237 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, August 3rd, 2024. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. And in this episode today, we're going to be discussing the delays to both Avowed and to Stalker 2. Bungie has laid off nearly a third of its staff. Game Informer is shutting down after 33 years, and Gamescom promises big things for Xbox. As always, we hope you enjoy the show. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness, those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
I am good. I'm also really busy. If you guys are not watching the YouTube version, which if you're not, shame on you. You should really be here. And if you can't, I understand.
Live on Saturdays,
also,
12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Greenwich Standard Time. I did that for you.
There you go. I like it. Look, we're not saying that we like you any less. We're just saying that you don't have enough time to really show your appreciation. Unlike Nissa Howa.
Good to see Nissa in chat. Good to see you. We've got RSJ fan dropping in as well. I need to send this bad boy out on socials. I haven't done that yet. Logan, did you hear me flub our intro just a bit?
No.
You didn't hear it? Okay.
No.
Well, I appreciate your fake memory. I flubbed it because I'm wearing these. Actually, they're pretty good glasses, all things considered. They're these new Gunner gaming glasses. Make your kill death ratio better.
They're built in.
No, that's cool. These are Overwatch themed. They sent me a pair,
nice.
And I really do like them. But I have a very Tony Stark thing. But what threw me off is I don't like that I can see the reflection of my screen and the lights in camera. So I wanted to wear them for the sake of showing them off because they did send them to me. They're actually really nice.
I like those,
and I do like them for real. But seeing the reflection is kind of it trips me up just a bit.
It's a trigger. It's a little bit of a trigger. Yeah, I got the blue light reduction in my lenses for these ones. Not gonna lie, I honestly next pair of glasses probably not gonna go with them because every photo I take kills the blue as it goes through for the flash. So it always makes my eyes look yellow in every photo. It just makes it looks like I've got scurvy. And I'm like, they didn't tell you about that when you buy the glasses. They're like, oh, this will be good. And I'm like, yeah, I pay a lot of attention to screens. I should probably get the blue light reduction,
Isn't scurvy the pirate thing though? Isn't that appropriate?
It is, but it's a vitamin D deficiency, which tends to make your skin yellow.
Gotcha.
So it usually starts in the
eye. All right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Eat your carrots, people.
Yeah, do better, everyone.
I know. God, you're not here watching the video. You're not eating your carrots.
Logan is shaming everybody today.
I'm not shaming everyone. I see some amazing people in chat. It's everyone else I'm looking at.
It is good to see you guys in chat. Well, Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who made our gaming weeks better. Who has made your gaming week better?
Coppertail Wolf, who's a good streamer, a Sea of Thieves streamer nonetheless. But yeah, as you may know or you may not know, I deal with a little bit of anxiety when it comes to certain games, and that anxiety generally is tied to adrenaline and expectation and ego. So one of the things that I have trouble with is Sea of Thieves hourglass fights, which are kind of like a 1v1 style thing where it's one ship versus one ship completely matched up. There's an MMR rating and everything. I struggle with that because of the pressure. And I decided to go out and try and find me some PvPers who could talk to me a little bit about the PvP aspect of Sea of Thieves, because right now it's kind of messy. PvP is in an interesting state. We have a lot of new tools and we're trying to figure out what's best. So I brought them onto the podcast this last Wednesday, and we spent 2.5 hours talking for the podcast and 4 hours talking just in general. And that was a fantastic time. So I'm looking forward to bringing them back on. But they definitely brighten my my week of gaming. How about you?
Very cool. I have a couple of shout outs that I want to send, but first I want to give shout outs to our community members, Clint Coombs and Butch4969, because they have a podcast called Spreading the Nerd.
Yep.
And they had their 10th episode this past week. And after joining Yeah, it was so cool. They were kind enough to let me join them for the 10th episode, which was fun because they are steadfast and staunch supporters of XEP, of our community. Every day I get to see them in chat, talk to them, and then to get to go on kind of their project that they started. And they were very kind with words towards us. Credit kind of us with what they're doing to an extent, right? Like, and it was just cool to be a part of that and get to hang out with them and seeing them. Like 10 episodes is a nice milestone in the podcasting world.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like it and you grow a lot over 10 episodes, no matter whether they're 10 days in a row or 10 weeks in a row. You grow a lot in 10 episodes. And so it was just nice to get to hang out with them and see that. And then for them to want me to join them was just a really nice treat. And so I'm appreciative of them.
I saw a lot of good content come from them in the form of making fun of you for Little Caesars. It was great.
Yeah.
They cooked you good. They cooked you better than Little Caesars cooks, I'll tell you that.
They sure did, man. They roasted me big time. But it was fun. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for sure. Yeah, it was good times. It was good times. Look at X Bacon Gaming and in the chat. Ellery Woods Parker the third. Matt Burns is here. Hey, very cool to see you, Matt. I don't get to see you very often. Nice to see you here, my friend. Yeah, this is awesome, bro.
We got freaking news today. This is what a friggin' week to start.
It was slow, and then like late Thursday, Friday, it was just like, hey, you've got stuff to talk about. I was like, oh
yeah. I'm sitting there thinking, like, are we really just going to be talking about Destiny 2 all day? All right, and guess if that's going to be it. No, dude. And there's something, I can't remember if I put it in the show notes, but I definitely want to talk about maybe a little purple monster that's going to be arriving pretty soon.
Okay.
In the mail. So I don't know. I can't remember what we talked about. If we put that, I'll check the notes. You know what? It's almost like we do this live and no rehearsed acts at any given time.
I legitimately have no idea what you're talking about with your purple monster, so I'm anxious to hear.
Okay. All right.
Well, our first news topic this week comes from Xbox, as they have officially delayed Avowed to February 18th, 2025, which I think is interesting news, to say the least, because they've got a very crowded fall. And we have on multiple episodes discussed and wondered aloud just how Xbox was going to manage all the things they've got on their slate. And I have very mixed feelings on this, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well. But with Avowed being delayed to February, that allows them to kick off next year in Q1 with a strong first-party showing. That said, we've now lost one of their big tentpole games for this fall, right after a price increase for Xbox Game Pass, and we know the slate for all but 3 of their fall releases. And Logan, I'm gonna read what they've got coming out this fall from Xbox proper, and then we're gonna break down whether or not Avowed would have gobbled up any of that audience, marketing time, whether this was a good move or not. So we've got World of Warcraft: The War Within is launching on August 26th. Age of Mythology Retold, September 4th. Aura History Untold, September 24th. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, October 8th. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, October 25th. Microsoft Flight Sim, November 19th. And then with no dates, we've got Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Starfield Shattered Space expansion, and Towerborn all slated for this year. And then you have that kind of like wishy-washy, possibly count it. We've got news that Stalker 2 has now been delayed and will arrive on November 20th. So, with the exception of Stalker, all of those are Xbox first party. Not all of them are Xbox exclusive, which is, interesting. And not all of them are games. That is to say, when you look at World of Warcraft War Within, that's an expansion. When you look at Vessel of Hatred, that's an expansion. When you look at Shattered Space, that's an expansion. That's kind of a mixed, is that good or bad? Like, is that moving units for Xbox? Nothing moves units for Xboxes anymore after the last week's news.
Yeah, I know, right? No kidding. Yeah. Hardware does not sell. Apparently, just go streaming.
Yeah. Now, imagine putting out a commercial where you don't need an Xbox to Xbox. Hardware down 42%. That's just a funny, like if I had better comedic timing and editing skills, I'd make a little YouTube short on that one.
Yeah, might as well just call yourself Stadia.
Yeah, no kidding. So with Avowed delayed, into
Yeah.
February. Do you like this move? Do you think it's a good idea, a bad idea? How do you like this?
I mean, it's definitely, we're not going to be lacking for games this winter and fall, so I'm not too worried about it. I think it's here's the thing that I think is really kind of a bummer about this is we got the Avowed showcase kind of at the developer direct in January. And these are all the things that we expected were going to be coming in 2025. It was kind of reaffirmed also in the Xbox showcase in June. So while I understand that, delays are good, it's just going to kind of open up the time window. And this is probably one of the best kind of delays, is where they're just trying to open up the window. There are probably a hefty few people out there who are huge fans of Skyrim, that are, big fans of Obsidian as well, too, that were probably looking forward to this, and having to wait 3 months, another quarter, just to be able to get this is kind of a shame for them. I don't think that this is really, like, I think that this is getting out of the way of some really good games. Like, I think if Indiana Jones is something that you want to give space for, especially given like how they marketed Hellblade 2.
Mhm.
Like, I think they need to allow games to have a moment to be able to really kind of ramp up the marketing. Look at Deadpool. The movie has been doing great and the marketing is insane. So if you do the marketing for it, like I'm expecting this month to kind of ramp up the Black Ops 6 stuff. I really expect them to. If they aren't, I don't know what's going on with them. Yeah. So I expect that Avowed moving will be a good move. It's the best way they could have done it. And I think that this will give Indiana Jones and Black Ops some time to shine, especially with Black Ops coming to Game Pass. So no, I don't think it's going to really, I think that it would have been tough to sell both games this winter, but I also wanted both games because both aren't going to speak to every audience. Am I glad that Indiana Jones is coming sooner? Hopefully. Yeah. Cause I'd rather be playing that first, just because of the IP. Compared to Avowed, but I'll happily jump into Avowed, and it does line up the beginning of the year with Avowed very nicely. But it'll also give Avowed an opportunity to get into the Keelhauled Awards too.
That's true. You make a good point with that. If Avowed does hit, if it arrived when we thought it would, it likely wouldn't have been considered for Game Awards, or would have been passed over for sure. I put out a call on Threads, just posting how we feel about it. And I'm also chatting that's live. I'm going to pull some of your comments in as well. Over on Threads, Daddy D Wally of the Nerd Chat said, "I think this is a sign that Indy is a lock." And I'm implying that inferring rather that he means for 2024. So we are going to see Indy this year. And he says 2025 has the potential to be stacked. I fully agree with that. You think if Xbox starts 2025 with Avowed, and then they're able to hit Doom the Dark Ages, South by Midnight, and Fable, that's 4 big pillar games that I think have general interest across a number of different like fan types. Whereas like Microsoft Flight Sim and Ara History Untold, those are talking to niche groups. Like when Xbox had, I think it was 2024, they launched this killer year of great releases with like Age of Empires and I forget what other one it was. They had a lot of really good small titles that were just excellent, but like you're not selling Xboxes moving units with Age of Empires remastered and such, right? But if you've got 2025 where you start with Avowed, and then you've got Doom, and then you've got Fable and South by Midnight, you're moving units. You're likely to turn heads, as it were. And so in that respect, I really do like this move for sure. I want to pull in Todd Oxtra's comment. Todd Oxtra was saying it depends on if we get formal release dates for the remaining 2024 games. I'm nervous about Indiana Jones getting pushed as well. So it's interesting to me to see that with news of Avowed being delayed, Daddy D Wally, like many, are saying, okay, that means Indy's a lock. And Todd does not feel the same. He's like, I don't trust Xbox, at this point, to deliver on their release dates. And how could you, right? There's enough to debate there. X Bacon Gaming saying his backlog's already insane. So it makes sense that he would want to just rest a bit. RSJ fan echoing something very similar. RSJ fan planning to play Starfield since he didn't really touch it at launch. So he's going to get the better version of Starfield after playing it, with its patches and then Shattered Space. It'll be interesting to watch just how this goes about. Bacon Gaming saying Todd is a pessimist. I think Todd's just been burned by Xbox, right? I think Todd feels about Xbox the way I feel about Nintendo. Like, for all the good, there's a lot of negative, and it just depends on how much you're willing to forgive and not forgive.
Yeah, I honestly, here's the thing. I trust Machine Games to be able to make Indiana Jones and make it fun. I think the difference here is that we aren't being flooded with release dates, with it going gold, with marketing. Those are usually the key signs that a lot of gamers expect when it comes to a big title launch actually hitting. And when you don't see that, you're kind of like, were they not going to talk about this game, or were they just going to put it out? That's kind of why a lot of people were going like, okay, what's going on with Hellblade? Like, you look at Starfield. Starfield had marketing, baby. That thing was everywhere. I was constantly seeing people talk about it, them showing, putting out vignettes about it, like all kinds of stuff.
Addy Dotun in chat saying, I think units are not how Xbox measures things. I think you're exactly right, Addy, and I don't know that that's a good thing. I don't know that that's a bad thing. We got financial reports. Xbox doing quite well, all things considered, and that's a very good thing. But I do think the Xbox is suffering as a result of this new strategy.
All hardware is, though.
All hardware is, but Xbox, I think, is feeling it. But maybe that's just because we're tuned into this.
Are they, though? Because, everything else is up. Even Nintendo Switches are down. Like, everyone's kind of waiting for the next gen, I think. I think we're so deep into this that everyone just expects that every 6-7 years we're going to get a new thing. We haven't seen, like, there's generally a refresh. Like, they've trained us to expect new hardware, and it's been long enough. It was 2000 that the new systems came out, or 2020. So, like, they're probably waiting.
Do you feel like this generation, we're going to come back to Xbox and what they're doing with Gamescom and Avowed in general, guys, but I am curious, do you feel like this generation has been kind of a dud is not the right word, because we've had some incredible games and experiences, but I feel like the hardware, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series SX have just not been pushed in a way that I feel like the PS4 and the Xbox One, One S, One X were. I just don't feel like these units have moved and pushed the way they needed to be. And I don't know if that's a symptom of COVID or what.
I think you're right. I think the reasons for it are because we have seen that there is a push for mobile and streaming in a way that we didn't in the last couple of generations. Like phones and mobile weren't nearly up to the task. We're seeing Resident Evil games, come out natively for phones. It's a different market. And I'm starting to come around to your perspective that in the next couple of generations, we're not going to have like dedicated hardware, which is a bummer, but this is one of the best generations of hardware the consoles have ever seen. Like, we are seeing hardware that is kind of on par with most people's PCs if you look at like specs and stuff like that. So I'm really surprised that they haven't done as well, but also this has been the weirdest generation as a world, as like a society
globally
we've ever had to deal with. So I would say like we lost 2 years. And remember when no one could find a PS5 or an Xbox X? Like scarcity in the early days just helps kind of kill that desire for people to need a system. Like, if you don't sell a system within the first couple of years, bro, it's kind of hard. Like, the Wii U was not it. And then they're like, all right, we got to pivot. So it's hard, man.
It's definitely strange. And I look at I'm chuckling because I was thinking it before I saw X Bacon Gaming's comment. Now he says all hardware has been lackluster, all except his 4090. But your comment about like these consoles are better than most people's PCs is apt and correct. Yeah. So often I see people want to advocate the PC world with great reasons. They present wonderful arguments and they're often right. But many can't afford the best and latest in the world of PC gaming, and so these consoles are apt and on par. Hey, shout out to one of my kiddos, Jalen. I got to play Fortnite with her the other night, but I jumped in and I could only play one match, and so I had to peace out real quick. Also, I kept having controller issues where my Rock Band guitar. No, we did well. We did well. But my Rock Band guitar kept trying to connect as a player too, and so I'd have to close the app.
He's not as good as he pretends to be on these shows. You know,
you can check my stats, sir. How dare you?
It's not about stats. It's about objective. You can sit up on the hill with a sniper rifle all day long. That doesn't mean you're getting in the zone.
I want to recall you guys to 15 minutes prior where Logan talked about his anxiety at playing the boat game against other people. Okay, that's all.
It's just that one though. It's funny enough. It's just that one.
Really?
I don't know what it is. Like when we're doing COD or when we're doing Fortnite, no problems. You've never seen me like hesitant about stuff. I'm hesitant about some of the choices we make, but I'm never hesitant to like get in there and get dirty. It's more like when Sea of Thieves comes around, I'm just like, I don't know. I'll lock up.
We jumped in Sea of Thieves the other night and had some good voyages, but we did get wrecked by one crew. Like it wasn't even close. But it was fun. We had a good time.
Certain someone wants to do some Sea of Thieves this weekend with us.
With us?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool.
With a galleon.
Yeah, there you go.
Go take over the Burning Blade. Forget Joe.
So let's return back to our point here about like this whole kind of console space here. I do feel like this generation has kind of been like a mid generation, like a 0.5 as it were, as opposed to kind of a full upswing on account of cloud and mobile and streaming and whatnot. But that doesn't mean I don't love it. Like to me, the Series S and X and are the best designed hardware I've ever seen. The PlayStation 5, I don't think is physically like great. Yeah, I don't think that looks so good, but it produces great work, great power. Devs seem to be able to work with the PS5 very well, whereas they seem to struggle a little bit with some of the Xbox stuff. But that's all anecdotal, and I don't know, and I don't care. I want to play the games. I don't want to build them. That's just my approach to it. But so it goes. Let's return, Logan, to the what's up, Cheeseworks? Good to see you in chat as well. Let's return to the idea of Avowed being delayed and kind of what's going on with Xbox. With them moving Avowed out of the way, they're now able to market all of the titles that we listed, have room to market, figure out where to put indie, how to put out a number of different kind of social campaigns and whatnot. It'll be interesting to watch just what happens. Now they're going to be at Gamescom where we're expecting some of these release dates to happen. There's going to be hands-on. People are going to be able to go hands-on with Age of Mythology, Aura History Untold, Vessel of Hatred, Fallout 76's new expansion, Milepost Zero, Elder Scrolls Online's expansion, Gold Road, and Towerborn. But absent from that, Doom, Indiana Jones, Avowed itself. I'm just curious to see kind of, all right, what's going on with their more immediate games, because I appreciate all these live services being hands-on, but like I don't go to or I don't want impressions on the expansion of Elder Scrolls. I want to hear and figure out, how does Avowed feel? What does Indiana Jones feel like from players?
Here's my perspective on this, and this may just be kind of, a little more empathetic to the teams that are building these games. We've already established that that Xbox has a habit of pushing these titles out maybe a little sooner than when they should be, and they need to have, like, how many times have I come on this podcast and been like, if only they'd waited 6 months and we would have gotten that 60 FPS patch. So if you take that into account, one of the biggest issues with game shows is that anything that you show off there, if it's not just a video, needs to be a vertical slice of the game. If it's not something that's a vertical slice, which is just a small little demo, even if you just have like a demo, you have to build that specific demo to showcase to other people. Now, a lot of people, they would just kind of like let you start out the game and stuff, but a lot of these games are going to be story-based games, and you can't just reboot the game and let people go through and have all of this exposition and setup to the game before they actually get into the gameplay. And then as soon as they're going to get into the gameplay, it's going to be like push forward on the control stick to walk, press A to jump, press A to grapple and go up on something, stuff like that is going to be intuitive stuff that most people are probably going to do. And if they don't, they usually have like those little panels that kind of tell you like what the basic combat, things are. So what they end up doing is they have to build these little vignettes, these little demos just for the game. And those demos cost time in development because it's not part of the game. It's just a sampling of it. So when you have studios that are being asked to put out these games to the point where they aren't necessarily complete when they do actually launch, and then you throw on top of that, hey, we need a demo for 2 shows. What 2 shows? Well, we've got the Xbox Showcase and then the Gamescom thing right before the game launches. It's like they could just wait. They don't necessarily need to have people playing these right beforehand. They've seen enough of the video. They understand like what the mechanics are going to be. And these are story-based games, which aren't going to lend themselves well to like being able to jump into a demo. That's why they do those behind the scenes things. It's why they do those 4-hour like parsecs streams like behind closed doors and online to kind of give people an idea of what's going to go. A lot of people at Gamescom aren't going to be media that are going to be reporting on how great their experience was in a crowded room, trying to understand like how good this game was. Like those days are kind of done.
I agree. Everything you said actually does make a really good point. I do think there is an element that is missing though, that viral marketing, like, hey, did you play the new, or did you play the demo for Avowed? Did you play the demo for Doom? And people going on their socials and talking about that. That's the only part that I think is missing from that, and is a benefit, right? And that's where I think in general, Xbox could do a better job of marketing themselves. Like you talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. How easy is it for Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman to pick up and do a little like a short, right? Yeah. They've got like utilizing that and letting people share it more. I want to see more of that kind of stuff.
But that all still Xbox. That still all takes a lot of production. Like there's timing, there's travel, there's like, what is it going to be? How is it going to be distributed? Who's going to edit it? Who's going to master it? There's still a lot of production that has to go into even just the little vignettes that they do. Like Gordon Ramsay and his daughter doing a chimichanga cooking thing. Like try getting those two in line schedule wise with like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Like there's still a lot of work that goes into those as well. The difference is that they know that is like their version of a press junket. Whereas with Indiana Jones, they're probably going to have like a bunch of marketing for, like Twitch commercials, for YouTube commercials, for movies, stuff like that. They need to cut like some really good trailers to have like that 30-second commercial for the games. I just don't ever see that done really, really well. The zeitgeist you're talking about with the demos and stuff absolutely sells games. Absolutely. You look at Power World as a perfect example of how, or Helldivers is a perfect example of how zeitgeist can drive sales better than any marketing. And if you do that for Indiana Jones through demos, it's really good. And one of the things that I think came out in, I think it was Sony that was saying that they were going to start mandating all of their studios to start creating demos for their major parties so that people could actually play the demos through the PS5 and actually be able to get a chance to try out some of the games without actually having to buy them, given the cost that they have. They don't have like a Game Pass that really does really well. I think that Xbox kind of leans on the day one accessibility of Game Pass in lieu of demos. And I think that the ease of access that a lot of people have to these first party games gives a false sense of security that there is already an install base and that zeitgeist will happen naturally. Well said.
No, I think you're exactly right. Dead on about the Game Pass taking that place, right? It's so easy to just click the button and go.
Yeah.
For sure. I want to say real quick, we had a bunch of people awesome in chat. I sent out 5 gifted subs to XEP. Those are random, just for anybody that doesn't know. But then Matto1606 followed up with 5 gifted subs as well. And I will scream at the top of my lungs and say thank you. We really appreciate it. It helps in more ways than one. More ways than you could possibly know in general. So Matto, thank you for gifting subs. If you guys are benefiting from it, I hope you guys really enjoy those incredible and fun emojis. You can make use of Logan's Claw in there. You can make use of us being silly. We got some double downs, some pizzas. I need to get a few more. I've got room for more now that we've got more people on the channel, so I can take advantage of that. And if you didn't make it, maybe consider doing it as well. And I want to take a moment, Logan, if you don't mind, to shout out Edward. He is our new patron. We got a new patron at tier 2. Join the Patreon, which not everybody does Patreon. A lot of people do YouTube memberships now just because of the ease of being here. But patreon.com/Xbox expansion pass is there. Logan, would you mind reading our quick shout out to our patrons and read the list of tier 2 and 3 shout outs we need to do?
Yeah, so we like to do this for everyone, obviously, in the YouTube is getting their little ticker down there updated with new members and stuff like that. But with the Patreons, those are coming out and they're getting access to the Discord. And we love seeing new people jump in. And we have had some new people jump in. And because of that, because we don't have like a ticker with them, we'd like to go ahead and make sure. Well, actually, I think the ticker does actually have them, doesn't it?
The ticker has
like it's
tier 1 through 3 of YouTube. It does not have Patreon.
Okay, so that's where I was like, you double dippers, you got me. So here are the tier 2 and tier 3 shout outs for the Patreon. So thank you to Chris 1H1D, Nicholas Johnson, Ellery Woods Parker III, Rob Frawley II, Tao Zochi, Randall Thor 19, Silkenit, African aka Charles Jones, Game Positive, Jam Pack Sam, Matt Valdez, Neo Prime 33, Rick Davis, Red Beast, Xbox Mike 29, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, Sony's VP of Marketing Kevin Butler, Clinton Coombs, DJ Hero, and Dano12. Thank you all so much for your support. It really does help mean the world to us as well. It's nice. I appreciate it.
And big thank you to Clint Coombs, who also dropped a gifted sub over in chat as well. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you. And Jalen, have a great day. Thank you for being here. You're amazing. My students will always get shout outs. They're just the coolest.
Yeah. You know what isn't cool?
What's that?
Game Informer shutting down.
Game Informer shutting down. An absolute travesty. They made a big old pivot a couple years back when GameStop picked them up. They made a pivot again in pushing the digital. They made a pivot again in pushing the physical back out there, separate from GameStop. I know I subscribed on to get that like year for whatever it was. I think it was like $20 for a year, which is way too low. And it seems that after 33 years, no amount of pivoting has stopped them from having to shut down. I know a friend of ours, Alex Van Aken, who I met at Playdays. I met a number of those guys at Playdays, affected as the entire staff was let go. An absolute bummer. I know the hearts of many different journalists are suffering, and I think it's the cost and the kick in the shins with the rise of content creators. Journalism is declining, and that's across every medium, and that's good and bad in some places because journalism's been suffering in some places. But it stinks for me when I see Ziff Davis buy up GamesIndustry.biz. And somehow the GamesIndustry.biz staff is somehow equated and related to the IGN staff, which is equated and related to, I want to say, Destructoid. And we're seeing so many places go away. And to see Game Informer be kind of the latest victim of this and jobs be lost, it's just frustrating and hard. Split End in chat, runs GameNewTrend.com, works over there. His heart was broken. It really sucks. I've been reading Game Informer a long time.
Yeah, dude, I used to peddle it. I think we all did. I think most of us used to peddle Game Informer back in the day. It doesn't matter what generation you were in. For me, it was the GameCube, PS2, Xbox days, like the beginnings back in the old 2002. That's 22 years ago. For the 33 years that this magazine has been in existence, I came 11 years in and started peddling it through GameStop as an assistant manager. And man, I loved Game Informer. I think Game Informer was one of the few magazines that I started to subscribe to because of GameStop, and I kept subscribing to after GameStop just because, dude, it was nice. You know, it started with Nintendo Power. They got me back in 1982 with Nintendo Power, and then as I grew up and started to expand my console library, I needed content for those consoles, and Xbox Magazine was fine. I never really subscribed to PlayStation stuff, but Game Informer was a little bit of everything. And to see it go away, very unceremoniously. Is that a word?
Mm-hmm. Unceremoniously.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me. To see
it's
it
better
just
than footage.
Footage.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound? What is
footage.
That word?
Footage.
Footage. It sounds like Quidditch.
No,
but with your feet.
Footage. It's a normal word.
So we're just going to call it soccer. Okay.
For anyone that doesn't know, Logan can't say footage. He says footage.
I also have a hard time with ruin and ruins. I don't know
fair.
why.
That one trips a lot of people up.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, 33 years. They put out a tweet. That's how a lot of people found out about the layoff. Found out about the layoffs, and that's actually the employees. The employees didn't find out, via normal means. Like, hey, we're gonna have an all hands meeting. We're gonna be shutting down Game Informer. We're very sorry about this. We will be working with you for your severance packages and such and such and such. They're like, oh no, I read a tweet about how happy they were to be serving everyone for 33 years.
Yeah. And
now people have no idea what they're going to do with their lives because they now have no job.
It really stinks. I like you worked at GameStop for a bit and had, pitched it. And I never pitched the pro card on account of used games and savings. I always pitched it as hey, and Game Informer's dope, because that's a big thing. That's the teacher in me. I used to keep it in my classroom for kids to read articles on different games that were coming out, different spotlights. But long form reading is going away in favor of burst information, video formats, and a number of others. And it sucks to see this consistently happening because I felt like Game Informer, particularly with their pivot back to physical, was really trying to capitalize on writing, on having real readers, not viewers, but readers, and really consume content that had heart and soul into it. And it didn't click for one reason or another. And it makes me really sad because there was a lot of talent working on that stuff. It's just a shame. And I hope that one day we get to hear from those guys and they're willing to do a podcast circuit and
that'd be cool.
Talk all about it. Right. Because I just think it's important. It's important to have that. I know we have on journalists from time to time, but I don't even know what a gaming journalist is anymore. Right. Like I know I have 3 in my mind that are gaming journalists, 3 that I can think of. 4.
Isn't that crazy?
4. That's it. Yeah.
I really fear for the written medium, to the point where one of the saddest things I think I see is when I go to a website to read an article, regardless of what it is. And that website has 2 options. One, to listen to it. And I'm like, that's cool. Fine. There's a good reason for people who need auditory things, but most of those folks that need that auditory reading generally have on-screen readers. So it's usually faster than what the little audio thing is. So it usually works better for them just to use their on-screen reader. The thing that depresses me the most is that little bit right there that says 4-minute read, 2-minute read, 6-minute read. It's like, can you not?
But don't you use that? Because I use that. Every press release I get for a game code, they tell you how long the game is expected to beat. That has a big factor in how I divide my time.
How long is it going to read?
Right. No, you're talking about articles and how long it takes to read. But if I do that with games and people do that with movies, why wouldn't we want that with articles? People are so demanding of their time. And I'm not lambasting them, but it is depressing. Same token, most people I want a quick read real quick, and then they can go back and read nothing as they doom scroll or whatnot. It's very strange. As humans, we have strange behaviors.
The fact that you have to give this expectation of the article, it's like, it's okay. It's only a 4-minute read. Take your Adderall, sit down, and let's focus. It's like, I know that's hard. That's tough. But when the alternative is literally just reading 250 characters on X, I'm just like, oh God, guys, we gotta get back to reading stuff, like long form stuff. We really need to figure out where we can start. I don't know if we got to start up, if we have to resurrect Pizza Hut, Red Roof, store or restaurants and kick up the Ninja Turtles to start a book it thing. if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do, fam. Because this generation, like, I worry that they're just not reading as. I mean, my buddy was literally like, I didn't know Hugh Jackman was English.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? What?
I mean, I work in schools. I teach reading, and the number of students I have that go through, take my class, work hard, but still go through to graduation and are essentially illiterate is very high because there are so many tools to get around reading and writing that exist. And that's not meant to be a lambasting of them and their generation. It's meant to be a lambasting of their parents. And the parents that are in my generation that failed to execute on that as well. But it's just a changing of medium, and I don't know what the right way to approach it is. But in the gaming space, I don't read very often. Do you? Like,
it depends on the game. If it's,
but do you just read to read about games? Not many people do.
About games or in games? Because there's
about
a little
games.
bit about games.
Like how many people open up no longer a Game Informer magazine, but like go to GameSpot to just peruse, to go to IGN to just peruse? I don't think that happens anymore to the same extent.
Well, so okay, we're preaching to the choir here, because yes, I will go to like IGN if there's a story that I want to read about something. If I see like the tweet about it, I'll click on the link. I'll go to the website. I'll deal with the ads, and then I'll sit down and just kind of read through the article. I mean, a lot of what we do on a regular basis is reading through the articles and stuff like that. So I think it's wrong person to ask in this situation, because I am part of the group that does actually still do that. I still enjoy what Ty Guy Travis has to say about games when it comes to reviews. I think he writes really, really well. So, and he always has a little bit of a snark in his writing.
A little. He has a lot of snark.
He has a lot of snark in his writing, but he's also a really, really good reviewer as well too. Paul Tassi still comes in with his hot takes, and I still read through a lot of his stuff as well too. Geeks versus Geeks is a local, or like a friend website that does a lot of reviews that I usually check out and stuff. And it's hard for me to kind of say, like, you know, if am I the one that does it? Yeah, I'm one of the holdouts. This is my physical media for video games kind of thing. And I don't disagree that a lot of people would rather watch like a 10-minute video. There's a reason why YouTube videos have small little trailers of what you're going to get in the YouTube. The first 30 seconds of a video is literally a summary of the rest of the video, because it has to be, because people want to know exactly what's going to be in that video. No longer are we willing to just sit down and watch a video and hope that there's the information that we want in that. We have to see the outcome of the video in the first little 15-30 seconds of that video. It's weird how our brains have like started to slowly kind of truncate even more of what we want.
I had a commenter on, I want to say, I think it was last week's episode. Did Colt join us last week or the week prior? Colt Eastwood.
Colt was
that last week?
I think it was last week. We've done
shows
before, since
we've
then,
done a lot of content in between. That's why I asked, because we did our community episode, which was great. Our patrons and channel members showed up awesome there. It was a blast. But on that one, I usually do our time codes for our YouTube channel the next morning. What I do is we finish up our content, then I go spend time with my wife or hang out with my friends, and we play games or whatnot. And then Sunday morning, I do time codes. I put up the audio version. I do the editing for the audio that I need to send it out that way. And within 10 minutes of me posting it on Saturday, someone was like, "Where are the time codes?" It's a 2-hour podcast. Because this person, who I really appreciate listening, was like, "I'm here for X information. What did Luke or Colt or Logan say about this particular topic? That's all I'm here for." And I can't fault them for that. I mean, I was blunt. I was like, "Hey, I do time codes on Sunday. Sorry." Like, that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that I can go hang out with my wife or play with the doll or whatever it is. Right. But it's just a matter of like, people go with intent for certain content, and that's setting expectations, which, not to like try and loop back our whole topic, but Xbox is doing by moving Avowed, by telling you what's at Gamescom and what's not at Gamescom. So you can set expectations, because we become one of those people that are like, "Hey, I want X. I'm here for X. My time is valuable. Give me Y."
Yeah.
Or don't give me Y, you know?
I for many years when I first started up the YouTube portion of Keelhauled podcast, I had one person come in consistently commenting, "Where are the time codes? Can I get time codes?" And I'm like, "Buddy, I don't have the time to make time codes. It's a flow of conversation, man. You're just gonna have to listen to the whole episode if you want to find out if I talked about something, because that's the expectation. I want you to listen to the whole thing."
The best, biggest, and brightest content creators usually have a producer on the back end or someone helping them because it's just a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt Valdez. I saw him arrive in chat the other day. It's good to see you, buddy. High praise for you in our community episode. I think a couple of our friends were complimenting you.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got.
You brought up Gamescom. Did we want to dive into the whole Gamescom and the expectations there?
I did mention Gamescom earlier, right? Because I told you the games that would be hands-on, but I did not say that this year the Xbox booth is going to have over 50 gaming titles from Xbox Game Studios, Blizzard, Bethesda, and third-party partners across 240 gaming stations. So Xbox is really trying to have a consistent presence there. While they won't have hands-on demos available for Avowed or Indiana Jones and Starfield Shattered Space, they are going to have theater presentations for those. So take that for what you will. It looks like Xbox is pushing hard to showcase their partnerships as well. And when you look at like third-party partners like Ubisoft, they're going to be showing off Star Wars Outlaws. Space Marine 2 will be on display in conjunction with Xbox. Rebellion's Atomfall, which I'm actually quite excited about, but I could swear I saw Butch4969 playing Atomfall the other day. And I maybe there's a game with a similar title because I didn't think that Atomic Heart. That must have been what it was. Okay, thank you, Logan.
It's like, bro,
in my mind, you know how some games get linked up. You know, I think I was having a Hellblade, Helldivers, kind of intersection.
Every Final Fantasy ever, No, I get you.
No kidding. But really and truly, it looks like Xbox is set to have a very good Gamescom presence, and I'm interested to see that because if I'm correct, they're abstaining from Tokyo Game Show. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago. Not going to be at Tokyo Game Show. And they've got a lot that it makes sense.
You don't want Phil in the same places where all the Tango Gameworks people used to work. Like he's gonna get his ear clipped from something. Who knows what?
Oh, maybe come on.
It's gonna be bad. Like you don't want to.
Never forgive Joseph Moran for missing that shot. But like imagine Matt Booty being there. We want small games with awards, and they're all like holding their awards in the background.
Like these ones.
WWE break glass, runs out on the stage, drop kicks them.
It's so bad. You just have like a picture of Matt Damon, but it's got the Tango Gameworks logo on his face, and he's got the number up against the window, and it's just all the awards for freaking Hi-Fi Rush.
I will say I mentioned Star Wars Outlaws in our community episode. Joseph Moran joined us. And the first, I'm not time coding it because it's a community episode, but the first 20 minutes or so, he took questions all about his time with Star Wars Outlaws. He had a 4-hour demo, like a number of content creators. I saw Jam Pack Sam getting some big praise. I love Jam Pack Sam. Just a quick sidebar. The dude is quadrupled the times more popular than us on his TikTok and Instagram and stuff. And then he's like, I'm just hanging out with the big dogs today, and it's like, you're the big dog. What are you talking about?
You just need to learn how to work the algorithm. That's all.
Maybe so. But I will say everybody needs to go and give it a listen to that because Joe did a really good job with his coverage on Star Wars Outlaws, and I feel bad for our audience because I could not go to I was scheduled to go at play days and I just couldn't make it. I wasn't feeling good and I missed it, so I felt bad. But upcoming Ubisoft game, something or another, maybe I'm playing that, before that comes out. Maybe I'm getting one of those 4-hour demos. We'll see. Who knows? That's right. Be jealous.
Really want
jealous?
I'm very jealous, actually.
If you want, you can take the spot because I'm gonna have to take off work to do it.
Maybe.
So let's talk offline, Logan.
Okay.
Depends on your schedule. But yeah, we can do that.
Would it potentially be something that looks kind of like
I can't even
Assassins?
I could never agree.
Creed,
I could never
Snattos?
say anything to that.
Okay.
I have no comments whatsoever.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
All right.
Right there.
Let's nice. Let's see. Bungie layoffs. Did you want to talk about the Bungie layoffs?
Oh man, what rip? Yeah, this was a bummer. God, Sony's Destiny 2 announced that they were going to be letting go of 220 employees through layoffs. Then they also announced that 155 employees would be finding roles within Sony Interactive Entertainment, and that a handful of them, part of an incubation team for a project that they think might actually work out, is going to be spun into a Sony first-party studio. Bungie is no longer in control of Bungie. Pete Parsons is a horrible person for doing what he did and not figuring it out.
Who is Pete Parsons?
So Pete Parsons, CEO of Bungie, is getting a lot of heat, and deservedly so, because the CEO is kind of like the reason why the studio has been in the red for so long. Basically, what's going on is because of COVID, Bungie went and aggressively hired a lot of people. And as a result of that, they had many incubation teams, some of them resulting in content for Marathon, some of them being projects we'll probably never, ever hear about. And, or at least for a while, until, like Stephen Totillo or someone manages to get in touch with more.
One of the gaming journalists.
Yeah, one of the actual gaming journalists, or Tom Warren, actually like getting some of this. But what is basically happened is that Bungie has been growing and growing and growing with nothing to show for it. And ever since Lightfall, which is not the most recent expansion, Final Shape is the most recent expansion for Destiny 2, they have been losing subs, or not subs, but like player base, and their sales have been dropping. Their content has been waning. They just have not been able to maintain that live service. The foundation has been eroding. And for all intents and purposes, Marathon does not seem to be showing as much promise as they think they want from this. They're touting it to be this amazing game, and not many people are really like down for this. They're getting so deep in the weeds with how they like to do their content and their creation and stuff like that, that they're not making a good game anymore. And as a result, two of like the really big people at Bungie ended up leaving because they saw the writing on the wall. Everyone else is getting laid off or pushed over into SIE. So Pete Hines is now essentially, if not by name, by action, in control of Bungie at this point. Like Bungie has failed. Yeah. Or not Pete Hines.
Herman Holst.
Herman Holst. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was like, wait,
Xbox fan here. Sorry. Think of the dude who does stuff. Herman Holst is all but named in control of Bungie at this point. Bungie has been losing so much and have not done enough for Sony. That basically what's going to happen. And, Final Shape came out. It was good, but it wasn't amazing. And they had been planning these layoffs for months before the Final Shape had actually launched. But the chief financial officer for Sony called out the studio for losing money and not being profitable the way that they expected them to be. And, basically threw it in their face like, hey, y'all need to figure your stuff out. So whoever's in charge of the books over there at Bungie did not do their job. And that falls on the shoulders of the CEO, who's Pete Parsons, who in the last year bought 17 cars on bringatrailer.com, which totaled up to a couple $1 million. Now, not to say that, those couple of $1 million would have been able to enough to save these layoffs, but when you have someone who is making these kinds of purchases, like, oh,
that was your cat.
She's chewing on something.
Well, what do you need to get her? Because I can talk if you need me to.
Yeah, if you want to read off some of the dollar signs that came with these cars, I got thoughts.
Well, I don't know if Logan can still hear me, but I don't think it's a matter of a CEO that makes a decent amount of money buying cars. That's not the part that bothers me. What bothers me is when you have workers that you're going to lay off, and then you're like, hey, come look at my new ride, and 2 days later you lay them off. That's the type of behavior that bothers me. I fully expect in a world of capitalism, for an executive to make more money. I've kind of made my peace with that. I'm not a big fan of golden parachutes or big payouts. When a company's going under, you're getting bonuses because you decided to cut a workforce. That to me should not be the case. But I don't mind somebody who's wealthy buying cars. I mind behaviors like bragging to someone who's working desperately to put food on the table for his family, and then you're going to lay them off. That to me is very frustrating. So Logan, it's for me, it's not about the cost of the cars. I don't care about that. It's the behavior and the lack of wherewithal.
Yeah.
That's the part that irks me, especially when we see our industry cut 25,000 plus jobs in the last 2 years.
The thing that bugs me about this is if you're going to be doing layoffs, now is not the time to be focused on buying cars. Now is the time to be doing your job and figuring out how best to do that. Now, he did do that, but that resulted in layoffs. So yeah, did he cut costs? Yes. Is it the way that it should have been cut costs? No. You probably shouldn't have spun up all of these incubation teams. You probably shouldn't have been doing all that spending, knowing that you were going to have to deal with this. And one of the things that the CFO for Sony called out was that there needed to be better accountability around the development cycle. The devs at Bungie have been delaying. The last 2 expansions, I think the last 3 expansions that they've had have all had delays. And it's like, there's not a thing that's going on there. And to Cheeseworks' point here, personal versus professional life, Logan, come on. If I'm spending, lots and lots of money on my own time, I probably don't really think I'm probably in a different mindset than let me like if I'm going to be spending a lot of money in my personal life, I'm probably not thinking about corporate funds. I'm probably not thinking about like how I should be trying to save money in my business. So that's one of those things where it's a mindset. People that don't worry about money across the board. It's just one of those things. Like if you worry about money, you worry about money all the time. So it's not that he's buying these cars because he can do whatever he wants with his money. That's fine. But there's a mindset when your company is bleeding and you need to fix it, that this does not show a behavior that really coincides with someone who's trying to be fiscally responsible. That's what I'm getting at.
I think I understand where Cheeseworks is coming from. I understand where you are coming from. To me, it's a matter of public appearance and perception being reality. Phil Spencer is a millionaire several times over at this point, given the amount of time that he's worked at the position he's in and then the work he's done. In the time that he's been there, Xbox has grown exponentially while still having to at times cut costs, right? Shutting down Tango Gameworks, shutting down Arcane Austin. Simultaneously, there have been a number of cases where Xbox has been able to do a good job at recovering from a bad state. So it makes sense to me that you would have an executive at his level with millions of dollars in his bank account. The difference being, I think, there are not stories emerging of him trying to show off and showcase and flaunt that wealth. You don't see that happening with a number of executives. We don't hear stories about Herman Hulst doing that kind of stuff, Sarah Bond doing those kind of things. We do tend to hear it from time to time, and Bungie, I think, is one of the examples of that. One of the things that I see your stars, and I'll let you bring those up too. One of the things I want to point out is that when it comes to Bungie specifically, they've not been profitable or doing a good job managing their finances for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time. And I feel like that Bungie itself has tried very hard to have this independent punk attitude. And we're fighting the man, fighting the good fight attitude. We're getting away from Microsoft, bought by Activision. We're getting away from Activision, bought by Sony, letting themselves do this in order to have this pretend fight the man power. It's like when you see somebody that's talking about how terrible child labor is and they're tweeting it from their iPhone, right? Like there's a little bit of oddity that comes with it.
Yeah.
And when you see them consistently mismanaging funds, it's hard to feel bad for the company as a whole. And I think as consumers, as media personalities, as voices, as people in chat rooms, anyone that's watching socials, we have to find a way to separate the good people that have been affected like some of the people we see being pointed out in chat appropriately, and the CEOs that are making bad choices, and the company overall. And it's not a cut and dry thing. It's a very complex web that each situation takes place. Like, I'll loop back to Tango Gameworks. Tango got closed because Tango was not in a position that was going to make profits for the company. It was a studio in Japan. Hi-Fi wasn't going to sell despite being in a small award-winning game. But we talk about small award-winning games. Xbox opened 2 studios that we found out about in the last 2 weeks. They went very under the radar, but Playground got a 3rd team. And there's a new studio that Blizzard King staff are now going to work to support content within their company.
Portfolio.
Yeah, thank you. Those are those small teams. They're trying to mimic the success of the grounded team at Obsidian, who's not the primary team. And so it's apples and oranges, but it sounds like apples and apples often. And I think that's kind of the kicker. I apologize for talking so long. Go ahead.
No, you're good. And to build off of that, we also saw the reasoning behind this. Like, they can't support keeping Tango up and running. They can't support keeping our Arcane Austin up and running. And the results of that is that they are taking those games or other games and trying to get them onto new ecosystems that breaks the mentality that we need to have these first party exclusives to try and keep this thing running like in the black. Like, that Xbox is doing different things. They're raising the price of Game Pass. They're porting games to other ecosystems. They're closing studios that have just finished up their titles, because they're not going to be profitable for the next 5 years. So it's tough to really kind of see how this is going to go. And with Bungie being, on the verge of being insolvent up until the actual purchase, like, we saw the documents, like, Microsoft was bidding for Bungie. Like, Bungie was in trouble, and Nissa puts in, says that they read an article about Bungie states that the CEO has not been very responsible with the company. Yeah. It's been very apparent, like, this that Pete Parsons is not the right person to be running Bungie right now. Devs online have talked about it. It's just not something that is really conscionable for me. Like, why is that person still in charge? Coffee Chick says there was a story of a woman who was affected by the layoffs. Her last day before maternity leave was supposed to be this coming Monday. How is this even ethical? Like, to me, it's wild that these layoffs come when they do, and you then have a CEO who, publicly seems very just kind of checked out on this whole thing. Like, his spending habits are his own, but if your company's dying, man, and it's been dying for a while, and this is these purchases have been made in like the last. And then he goes on to brag about how he uses his cars. He makes sure that they're taken care of and that all of his family can enjoy them. Someone commented, they're like, cool, are you going to use these cars to drive all of the people that you laid off to the unemployment line to be able to like put in resumes and stuff like that? Like, are there next interviews? Like, what are you doing to help the people who are now laid off while you are showing a complete disregard for the empathetic nature to the situation?
When I was talking with Clint Coombs and Butch, one of the things that I pointed out was that we've seen studios of games, studio heads for games like Tales of Kenzera Zao at Surgent Studios and Immortals of Avium at, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. But we saw their studio heads have to lay people off and shut down and furlough. And both Brett Robbins for Immortals of Avium and Abu Bakar Salim for Tales of Kenzera, they are financially set for life. They are fine, or at least if they've managed their money fine. They are both okay. But we don't see them discussing their massive wealth or their stability on socials while delivering bad news. And I think that's a big thing, is that it's messaging, it's optics. And there's simple empathy. If I've been laid off, I don't know if you ever have, but it's a brutal, painful feeling. Yeah. Been fired, brutal feeling. The people that still have jobs that show empathy, their life didn't fall apart. But when they show empathy, it makes those situations of going through that much easier and better deal with. And it speaks a lot to their character. Those who are just like, well, speaks a lot to their character. And that is the unsavory aspect of the capitalistic approach of the games industry. And I'm not advocating, I'm not condemning that aspect. It's just the reality of it. Business is business. Games need to make money. You just don't need to be a dick about it. I think that's the part that bothers me most.
Yeah.
Not most. It bothers me a lot. That's the part that bothers me most is that people are starving now or can't feed their families or on maternity leave and stuff.
That's the issue that I think I want to get to. It's not that I think that you can't spend your money how you want. Like look at this room. This room is being torn down at the moment. It's nothing but plastic money. Like I get that my pain is in the form of like, plastic figures. But at the same time, like if I had to lay off people, I would start liquidating. And I would start getting rid of stuff if there was something that I could do to try and save my company from having to go there. And I get that there's arguments that you shouldn't be doing that, but the company is paying you to keep the company running. If the company goes, so does your job. If you don't do a good job of keeping your company, you're out. Like you get paid big bucks to manage this. That's why you're getting paid the big bucks. If you don't manage well, you're out of a job, man. Get out. You need to find someone that can actually do that job.
It'll be something to watch too for Xbox, because we've watched them since the Activision acquisition. Prior to that, the Bethesda acquisition, we've watched their management shift their positions, open new positions, adjust, people be let go, studios be shut down, studios quietly form, and be retooled as they kind of incorporate all the different aspects of their business, and watching how they navigate that space. Are they doing it in ways that are supportive? Like they are recognizing all the unions that are happening, offering good severances from what I'm aware of, offering good severances when they have to shut down studios and such. And I think that helps culture and thus bring talent in. It was the Baldur's Gate developer in one of his many Game of the Year speeches that talked about retain talent, give them time to develop. Don't fire people. Don't spin up a team. Once you shut down everybody, let them go. You keep them, teach them, mold them, and you get the best of them going forward. It's just fascinating to watch all of this take place for sure. For sure.
It's
Logan, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just think that there's obviously someone who could probably be running Bungie better. And I don't know who that person is, but they've done enough damage. Pete Parsons has done enough damage to this company that it's going to be really hard to know if anyone's going to want to touch it at this point. And one of the questions that we actually got over on X is coming to us from Anubis 316. It says, do you think any Bungie employees will go to 343?
That's an interesting question, but I think it's one born of fandom. Right? Like Bungie for anyone that's unaware, like Bungie originally made Halo, right? And that Halo DNA exists in Destiny, in the best parts of Destiny. That gunplay is nearly unrivaled in the industry. Do I think it's possible? Sure. But the Bungie that we're thinking of is not the same Bungie of old. And 343 is spun up right now to work on the next Halo iteration and decouple it from multiplayer. By the way, shout out to the new operation for Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite's in a great place. It's very strange. It's very strange, right? It's just odd. But do I think that happens? Maybe. But I don't think it needs to happen because it's Bungie and 343. If it happens, I think it's more like, hey, I work on FPSs and have experience in multiplayer. Do you need that? As opposed to, hey, I'm Bungie, you're 343. Can we talk? I don't think it quite works that way anymore. I just don't see that being the reality. So
I would say yes for some. I think that there will be some folks who have friends still at 343 that could definitely take a look and be like, hey, we're looking for an animator or an editor, and be like, hey, we'll bring some people over. I don't know if it'll be like straight up devs, like as far as like the actual coding aspect of it, but I imagine that there may be some folks that still have some good connections between Bungie and 343 that they might be able to find some jobs there. That doesn't necessarily mean that Halo is going to get better because Bungie devs are flooding back to 343. It just means that people have connections and friendships and that positions open up all the time. And there's a good chance that whatever, wherever they go is going to be based off of opportunity, location, and pay. Like those are kind of the three factors that are going to really matter for a lot of them. And if some of those happen to be within 343, awesome. You know, it'd be good to have that, because I think there's a lot that Destiny has that would be interesting to see come to a future Halo game. I don't honestly at this point, I'm more excited about E-Day for Gears than I am the next Halo iteration, but that's because Halo's like, you know, at least another 5 years off.
Agree. I'm going to go ahead and pivot us away from that topic, if you don't mind. I want to spotlight the THQ Nordic Showcase that took place kind of quietly over this past week. I think there are a lot of dark horse games that people are really excited for in the THQ Nordic Showcase. It took place this past week. The Epic Mickey game that Disney put out in 2010 is getting a remaster that's coming out on September 23rd.
Looks good.
It does look good. I'm actually interested in checking that one out myself. Titan Quest 2 doesn't have a release date, but that was announced and showed. Wreckfest 2. Wreckfest, if you've never played it, really fun game. That the sequel to that is coming out. Let's see. Gothic 1, which I know a lot of people really like Gothic. I've never played that, but I know it's very popular. There are a couple others in there, but the one that got me so excited, a franchise that I've made videos about, that I talk about a lot, that I really just love near and dear to my heart. It's the peak of AA in my mind, Darksiders. I'm really excited. They showcased a teaser trailer that said the 4 horsemen will return. I have statues of Death, Fury, and Strife. I don't have War, but I love Darksiders. I put my Sissy Jones's version of Fury right there. I love Darksiders. The idea that more Darksiders is taking place, I'm so excited for that. I just love this franchise. I'm just really happy Darksiders lives. I don't know what that means under THQ Nordic, because I know Gunfire Games is still going to be working on it. They made 3. But, you know, Embracer being the umbrella is kind of a scary thing. That said, just the idea of Darksiders coming back just has me so excited and so happy. So
I think that THQ Nordic and Embracer are trying to do what I think Capcom is doing well, where they're trying to bring in new titles into existing IPs while also going back to the well and bringing out old games that are remastered, so that they have like a cash flow that they can bank on for good games that have come out in the past, and just kind of update them, bring them out for new generations for people that may not have actually gotten a chance to actually play those older games, while at the same time looking to build up IPs that they feel like are probably going to be stronger entries into like a new sequel. So having something like Titan Quest 2 or oh my god, I'm just blanking on Darksiders. Having a new Darksiders, I think those are going to be kind of titles that everyone will appreciate and know are going to be good, and the teams that are working on them are still going to be great. Whereas, you know, things like Epic Mickey or Gothic, having those brought forward will potentially give the publisher an opportunity to address, okay, are these interesting enough titles that people are going to buy into them, and should we start working on building out a new entry for them based on public appeal, like bringing back, you know, like a Splinter Cell game as like a remake, to see if people are still invested in Splinter Cell as an IP kind of thing.
Well, just because you mentioned Splinter Cell, we know Star Wars Outlaws quietly was once a Splinter Cell. That's something that we're kind of aware of, even though I don't think it's like publicly out there. It's out there. I'll put it out. Like, that is definitely a thing. On some level, that was once. You'll see the formula when that game goes full to everybody. Let me take a moment real quick. If you're lurking, please consider hitting the like button. That would really help us out. We would really appreciate you there. Logan, I'm just stoked for Darksiders. I want that to be a thing. Once again, it's just an absolute pleasure for me. I want to make sure I've covered all of our news stories before we kind of just riff and talk about what we've been playing and whatnot. I think we've covered kind of our big things. Chat, if you've got questions for us, go ahead and throw them in there, AMA, as you like. Logan, I started playing a game that's coming out soon called Deathbound, which I'm stoked for. A lot of previews are out and about, kind of making their way around. I'm interested in that one. It's a Souls-like formula with a really unique art style. I'll probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to nail down an interview with the devs. I'm going to try to get back to interviewing a bit more than I have been. But honestly, I was tired. It's a lot of work to do an interview and arrange that. And so I've been just putting energy into other places, for sure.
That's true.
So that's something that I'm playing for coverage right there. Oh, the new controller you want to talk about. I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, it's good. I mean, I don't know what your affinity towards clear plastic technology is, but as a child of the 90s, I grew up with the N64, the Game Boy Color, the clear phones, the clear computer, the Apples that they had with the different color. Like, I don't know about you, but dude, Xbox announced the Sky Cipher Special Edition controller. You know, obviously $70, but it's coming out August 13th in the blue. I want the purple. I'm expecting a cheese yellow from Stein at any point. Like, that's going to be a thing, guarantee it. But dude, I've got my Sea of Thieves controller still on the shelf back here. It has got like this light purple, like transparent kind of hue to it that I love. But I ordered one of these controllers. I can't wait to see like what other colors they come out with. I love it, dude. I don't know. Do you like these clear, translucent kind of tech gadgets?
Yeah, they're fine. They're cool. I think they look neat. I'm happy with them. I don't get excited about this kind of stuff. Green. But I don't get excited about this stuff in general. Of course. Like, it's just not my thing, I guess.
Yeah. Like, I buy all the other controllers. You got the Starfield one.
So I got that was kind of where I was going, is like Starfield I got because I wanted to support Starfield, right? The Master Chief one I wanted to support Halo. Translucent is just translucent. Like,
what about the 20th anniversary one?
I did not buy that one, right? Because I have so many controllers. Like right now, I put down my Elite controllers because the buttons are starting to go. I was putting too much into them. So I'm playing with my Starfield one upstairs and my General White one downstairs, right? I love that one. I love the Starfield one. I've got the gold one that you got me if I need it. Like, I've got tons of controllers. I don't need more. Yeah, I have 2 of those 3. Is that the one that you did a review on, by the way?
Yeah.
Nice. I don't remember what it was. But like, yeah, it's great. It's cool, but I don't need more controllers. He's holding up all these controllers, audio listeners. They're all different colors. They're all different patterns. Logan, we don't need to see them. Okay. All right.
I'm just going to keep bringing out more.
Yep. You just keep going. Look at all these. That's crazy.
I want the blue one. I want a purple. I want them all. Just give me more. Just, I don't have control. I have tattoos. I don't control where my money goes. Just let me have the controllers already.
Fair enough.
I didn't start anything with all these.
Yeah, I'm surprised nothing beeped on or anything. Is that what you were talking about at the top of the show? Like a purple little monster coming to you?
I totally thought it was purple because that's what in my mind I've already locked in is like, I need to have the purple one. Gotcha. And I actually pulled up the account and I was like, oh no, this isn't actually purple, it's blue. But I'm totally fine with that. Okay,
fair enough. I was wondering. I was like, all right. If anybody's on audio listener, I need you to just go to this time code, 1 minute, go to 1:16 and just watch Logan continuously pull up controllers. It wasn't needed, but it was comedic. It was fun.
I don't even have the red one right now. And I can't grab the Sea of Thieves one either, but I have a lot of controllers and they just sit in drawers.
That's the thing. I don't need one. It's like, I don't get excited about it. But like, if they put out a Green Ranger, like from Power Rangers, or a Ninja Turtle one or something, it's like, would I be tempted? Yeah, I'd be tempted. So.
Oh, I didn't even think about I've got the Cyberpunk limited edition Xbox One right sitting there by Master Chief holding it up too. I didn't even think about that one. It's right there.
Yep. Something to watch. A little pregnant pause there, a little dead air.
I tried to grab it. It was too far.
I wanted to give a shout out to Kunitsugami. I am playing the heck out of that game.
That. Okay.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
I skip all the cutscenes. I don't care what they're saying, what they're talking about. Like, it's doing its thing, but it is a fun game, and Game Pass is just the goat. And I'm like, all right, cool. The more I look at Dungeons of Hinterberg, the more I think I'm not going to play that. I think I'm just skipping that one.
That's fine. I don't blame you.
I think I'm just skipping that one. I think I'm gonna play Deathbound for coverage, and then have impressions for you guys on the show, and then jump into Star Wars Outlaws when that comes out.
Can I talk about what I'm playing for the review?
I don't know.
You
talk about that one.
Okay. All right.
Let me look that. Let me
check
look
on
that up.
Yeah. I'm gonna. So I've been diving into Gears 5. For like now that I've gotten Gears 4 done, Gears 5. Holy, this game is good. Like you could see Coalition, like, and bear with me, like I know Gearbox went and did, like all the Gears and stuff like that, and I know People Can Fly did Judgment and whatnot. Coalition started off with Gears 4, and you could see that they were kind of like getting what they needed to kind of get the game out. But man, Gears 5 is a freaking treat. That is a game. Like I see where you're going with the wide linear that you talked about last week, where you kind of get in the skiff and you're just kind of going from place to place to place. Holy crap, is that game good? Exposition's well done, humor's well done, characters are deep. I really like the environments that they've created. I love the kind of like Captain America Winter Soldier thing that they've been able to do with the story. The story is like riveting. And I know I'm coming late to the party here, but the pacing is on point. Like they've done a really good job of having combat, exposition, story, travel, combat. So I've really just loved what Gears 5 is bringing to the table. And it excites, like Coalition have really kind of honed in, and the combat and traversal in Gears 5 was freaking on point, dude. Like the combat is so good. And I love being able to do the little, bounce to bounce from the walls with the traversal. It's so good. So I'm loving that. Yeah, it's a really good game. Like way better than 4 in my opinion. 4 was good, felt a little sluggish, constant combat, very little story. And this one is just like the perfect balance of like story, but really good combat, really good action scenes, and just I'm loving it. And I'm only in Act 2 right now, so I can't wait to finish that one up.
You've got some good moments ahead of you. Gears 5 is a really great game. Like truly, I don't think there is a bad Gears of War game. Like not a single Gears of War mainline game is bad by any means. Judgment is not bad at all. They range from good to great. I would argue that Gears 5 and Gears 1 battle for top spot in Gears games for me. They battle for top spot. So when you're done and you don't have some recency bias, I want you to process and tell me what you think. Because I really
think about that.
Yeah.
Dude, Gears 1 is just like,
special.
And I love the Carmine moment in Gears 5 was just,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, it's good.
Man.
It's good. The Carmine moment in Gears 4 is hilarious.
It's so quick, dude. It's so quick.
Like, Gary, oh.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
Poor Carmine. Oh,
yeah.
Carmine needs his own game.
Anthony Carmine, the one from the very first game, is my favorite Carmine.
A Carmine, not B Carmine from the second game.
Not B. Yeah, not B. A Carmine, because I like the helmet from Gears 1 the most. Remember, I always play as a character that could be me, and helmeted characters could be me. So that's how I did that. You could
totally fit into the Gears armor.
Yeah, right. Well, I could fit into it.
You wouldn't fill it out, but you could fit into it.
Yeah, as we've been talking, like Ains is giving me advice on lifting because I'm hurting my elbow. So he's like, "Hey, adjust this, do this," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I did check you can say the name of the thing that you are reviewing. You can say nothing else. Not a thing else. Not even a wink and a nod.
Nothing about this game, but I'm looking forward to finishing my review on Creatures of Ava.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
Yep, that's all I can say.
That's all you can say. There you go. And then Ellery is doing a review for us. I think it's Cat Quest 3.
Oh, Cat Quest. Oh, man. Cat Quest, that won my heart on the Switch when there were no games on the Switch. Like we had Zelda, we had Mario Kart, we had ARMS and Splatoon, and Cat Quest just like Chef's Kiss. Great game.
There you
Amazing
go.
franchise.
Nice.
Also, if you guys are on Switch and you haven't played Blossom Tale, great Zelda-like, short, cheap. Definitely pick that one up. But yeah, Cat Quest 3, I think is the pirate version, which is, I haven't gotten to jump into it, but should be fun.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Logan, I think that brings us to a close. We didn't get too many questions in chat today, but I saw a number of different people hanging out with us, having great conversations, and just in general. Also, maybe for liquidating controllers, you've got a few people in there that could use one. You know,
not the controllers. I will get rid of pops, but I'm holding on to these precious babies.
There you go. Alrighty, Logan, would you be so kind as to tell people what you got going on with Keelhauled?
Yeah, I mentioned at the top of the show that I did an interview with Coppertail Wolf, covering the differences between PvP and PvE in Sea of Thieves, which I think if you're looking forward to some of the content that's coming with season 13 with the Burning Blade, we're probably going to try and do another episode where her and I actually like talk about that as opposed to just PvP. But there's a lot of information, like a lot of tips that I've learned as a result of this interview that I did not know when it comes to combat in PvP or like PvP for Sea of Thieves that I'm going to be like implementing. So that's coming out this coming Monday. It's a fairly hefty episode, so expect to go in for at least, you know, a full length feature film version of a podcast in this case, but really great conversation. Other than that, review coming out on Monday. If I can make sure that I finish it, I don't know. I'm working on that, plus I'm also trying to rip out everything in this room here so that I can get it sold. So
it's not work.
Definitely,
it's not work.
No, but I want to hit the embargo.
Okay, nice.
So embargo's coming soon.
There you go. I like it. I'm about halfway through writing my review of this headset.
Yeah.
The Arctis Nova Pro Wireless 2024 for from SteelSeries for Xbox, and I'm loving this headset.
Nice.
So I've been really wanting to put in the time to experience it. So I think I'm ready to kind of get that one out and edit it and such as well.
Very cool. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this week. For if you are channel members, if you're patrons, if you're here hanging out, subscribing, liking, lurking, whatever it is, we really appreciate you guys. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care.